Assalamualaikum and hi to all my panel. My name is Yusra Fitri bin YUSUF from Faculty Technologies of Mechanical and Manufacturing, and today I wanted to present about analyzation of 3D printing filament made from thermoplastic polyurethane and ground tie rubber treated with sodium hydroxide for my program Sarjana Muda project. For background of study, Material 2016 said that plastic and rubber are one of the causes that are polluting the world, and to solve it, Banarji 2019 suggests by using recycled plastic and rubber for 3D printer filaments, the filaments can overcome the pollution issues. Besides that, Al-Qadi 2019 said that ground tie rubber as a filler in a polymer material was used as an ink material and manufacturing process for GTR is environmentally friendly that creates no pollution. For problem statement, Fazli and Rodrigue 2020 said that recycling and recovering waste tire is a serious environmental issue and rubber takes several years to degrade. Besides that, Al-Qadi 2019 said that GTR composition and processing must be considered when used as a filler. For a TPU, it can be considered as a flexible filament, but the elasticity can be improved. Lastly, selection of NaOH to investigate the effect of GTR modification. The objective of the study is to analyze the thermal, physical and morphological properties of thermoplastic polyurethane and ground tie rubber treated with sodium hydroxide, and to characterize the morphological, physical and mechanical properties of thermoplastic urethane and ground tie rubber outcome filament. This is the scope of study of my project, and briefly explain the development of a 3D printing filament. First, we use different ratios of TPU and GTR. The GTR will first start with sodium hydroxide solution to guarantee a uniform treatment, and later soak for 40 minutes and dry for 24 hours at 60 degrees Celsius. TPU and GTR undergo sintering process through a hot press machine. After that, undergo crushing process to the material fits the extruder size requirement. Then printing the filament using a 3D printer. Lastly, undergo 3 different tests after collecting morphological test, physical test and mechanical test to the outcome specimen. For literature review, the topics that I investigate is 3D printing filaments that briefly explain the development of a filament through 3D printer by Banerjee and Opel. Then, follow up with the advantages and disadvantages of current 3D printer filament. After that, I proceed on covering the topic about GTR blending by Fazli and Rodrigue, the recycling process to get GTR and the properties of GTR as a filler. This is the example of a waste tire pyrolysis product. Lastly, for chapter 2, I have inserted about thermoplastic polyurethane as a composite material that study about the properties of a TPU filament. For chapter 3, we start with the process flow of the whole project objective. Next, the material used for the study is ground tie rubber, thermoplastic urethane, and sodium hydroxide. The preparation for material. For thermoplastic urethane, size is reduced by scissors to a more suitable fabrication requirement. For ground tie rubber, material should be recycled from scrap tire to ground tie rubber, but the ground tie rubber was supplied by supervisor. For sodium hydroxide, the concentration is 6%, that is 30 grams of sodium hydroxide dissolved in 500 ml water. Ground tie rubber was first stirred in sodium hydroxide solution, soaked for 40 minutes, rinse thoroughly with water, and final washing with distilled water. Then, the ground tie rubber was dried for 24 hours at 60 degrees Celsius. After treat the GTR, we proceed with characterization of ground tie rubber treated with sodium hydroxide and thermoplastic urethane. First, particle analysis test for GTR to determine the particle size distribution. Second, thermogravimetric test for GTR and TPU to assess the material thermal stability and proportion of volatile component. Lastly, we do differential scanning calorimetry analysis for thermoplastic urethane to measure physical properties of a sample change. After all the tests, we proceed with preparation of filament. We will be going through mixing process, sintering process, crushing process, extrude process, and specimen preparation. For mixing process, the TPU and GTR were mixed by a mixer at FKP. For this process, 4 sets of different TPU and GTR percentage were mixed based on the table. This is the table for the mixing process. For sintering process, the TPU and GTR will combine to form a solid material through heat and pressure without melting to a point of liquefaction by the hot press machine. For crushing process, the composite will crush to a smaller and better size using a crusher or a grinder machine. For extrude process, the GTR and TPU will extrude into outcome filament. The table below shows the filament extrusion processing parameters that I follow. The machine that involved in this process is single screw extruder machine, the barrel, and the filament storage rollers. Then we proceed to a specimen preparation where the filament will be 3D printed to several tensile strength test specimens to test the printability of the filament. The table shows the printing parameter that we use. Lastly, the characterization of the filament, where we do tensile tests, morphological tests, and absorption tests. For a tensile test, the purpose of the test is to get information about the material tensile strength, yield strength, and ductility. By referring to ASTM D638 as a standard for plastic, the sample length and measurement speed have been recorded in software using a clamp distance trapezium X. Universal testing machine will be used to run this test. Then we proceed with morphological tests. For morphological tests, the material will undergo SEM analysis. SEM examination is used to assess the surface properties and analyze morphological change in nanocomposite such as pore size, shape, and distribution of nanoparticle and fillers, as well as membrane thickness. After that, we follow with water absorption test. Water absorption test was carried out to determine how much water is absorbed under a specific condition. Okay, this is my preliminary findings for particle size analysis, and this is for thermogravimetric analysis, and this is for scanning electron microscope, and this is the expected result for my tensile test. So what I can conclude, plastic and rubber are two of leading cause of global pollution because vulcanized rubber takes several years to degrade. By using recycled plastic and rubber of 3D printed filaments, the filament can overcome the pollution issues. The selection of sodium hydroxide is to investigate the effect of modification on mechanical properties of TPU and GTR. And lastly, investigation for different ratios of GTR to polymer metric have to be conducted to confirm the printability of the ink. That's all for me. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.